What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Payday 2 video. Today we are taking a look at the Chicago Typewriter submachine gun added in the most recent update, the Christmas update. This was of course awarded to us as the Steam group hit 2 million. If you don't have this weapon and you play on the Steam version of Payday and you'd like to pick it up, all you have to do is join the Steam group yourself. But this is the Thompson. This is one of the biggest, most universally recognizable weapons in the game, and you guys really wanted it, and Overkill has given it us. But the big question here that I'm going to do my best to answer, is it actually any good and worth using? Well, first of all, it falls into the SMG category, which is not a surprise, of course, but it's always a slight disappointment. There's not a lot of skills associated with SMGs, which is a double-edged sword to an extent. It can be quite strong because it means you don't actually have to add an awful lot of skill points to run this as your secondary. I recommend the SMG Specialist basiced out for that faster reload speed, but don't bother with increasing your rate of fire. However, with weapons like the shotguns or the pistols, where you have to put a lot of skill points in to make them effective, they become that bit more effective in the long run, but of course you have to dedicate your build to them. First of all, before we get into the detail of the numbers involved in this weapon, I'm going to walk you through the damage numbers, headshots and body shots it takes you to kill particular enemies on Overkill and Deathwish difficulties. I'm going to try and be way more precise and informative than I have in previous gun reviews, go slightly less on preference and more on actual factual evidence and statistics. But there's one thing that lets the Thompson down. It's the rather sparse number of reasonable modifications you can put on it, though I do recommend dropping the long barrel on it. The barrel exit I would use is the competitor's compensator. You could just as easily try out the funnel of fun or the fire breather. Then other than that, you may want to use a gadget, for example the military laser module. This thing does hip fire very well, and having that to help you track may be of some assistance. And then you're just going to be looking mainly at the sight. Now, as ever, sight is preference-based. If there's a particular sight that you find really carries you through Payday, still try it on this weapon. But as ever, the SMGs don't really lean themselves towards sights. You want as much open space on your screen as possible. That's what the Thompson is very good for. It's got a very flat iron sight, and it's certainly a nostalgic one that may bring back memories of other first-person shooters. And I found myself being very successful with it, quite accurate with it, just because I'm so used to it. And overall, the weapon handles just like a Thompson from any other game, and that's one of the main reasons I've settled into using this weapon very easily. And again, without any skills, you can pick it up straight away. So, let's first of all take a look at this thing's ammo capacity and clip size. 50 per clip and 150 base total ammo. So you got 3 magazines worth. Sorry, my discrepancy of using magazine and clip is absolutely awful. I don't know why I do it. Someone actually picked up on it in the comments section. I'll stick to magazine consciously in the future. So it's got 3 magazines worth in its overall capacity with the right skills. And I do recommend you use skills like fully loaded with the SMGs. They really do require it, especially because it seems to take a fair few bullets to kill. And this isn't one of the stronger SMGs, but it does have quite the good rate of fire. So the ammo capacity is not bad at all. It's leaning towards the higher end of the SMG capacity, and the rate of fire sits just above average and sort of facilitates a lot of accuracy with this weapon and the right sort of damage per second you need on the higher difficulties. But as I've said, damage is slightly underwhelming. You're looking at just below average. With the right perks, you're going to get an additional point from the Fast and the Furious perk, plus the mod, of course, the competitor's compensator. That's going to give me 29 overall damage. For my calculations, I round it up to 30. You can surpass 30 if you choose to change your modifications around, but I do find accuracy and stability to be quite important with this weapon. I do like to use it over longer distances, so I don't really want to jeopardize those 2 skills, and hip fire, as I've already mentioned, is very strong with this weapon. You can do a concealment build. A lot of the modifications I didn't touch on are concealment based, and if you want to factor this into one of your new fugitive builds, running off those critical percent chance and dodge percent chances, it's certainly a reasonable option. So the stats on this weapon look reasonably healthy, but then you do have to take into account it is an SMG, it's not a shotgun. The Locomotive, the Judge are 2 of the best, even the Street Sweeper, three of the best weapons in the game. So how the Thompson is going to outcompete them, I do not know. But there is certainly a feeling that this weapon is so versatile, I'm so comfortable with it, that on occasion I find myself doing better than I would with a shotgun, though it does seem like it fits more into niche builds based around other things. It seems like the perfect secondary if you're going to run a sniper rifle, for example, because it still has that reasonable range capacity, so you don't have to take all enemies out with the sniper from range, but it really does tear up at close ranges. But then you also have the pistols you're competing with, and some of the pistols are very strong, especially if you're running pistol skills with akimbo pistols as well. You do have to wonder how this SMG is going to fit into your build, but I assure you there are some reasonable reasons too, and as we move on into the damage capacities, you're going to be seeing against particular enemies, first of all an overkill. You'll see why this weapon really is quite viable up to overkill difficulty. So let's start off by taking a look at the enemies that make overkill troublesome. We have the heavy blue SWAT, the FBI SWAT, the FBI heavy SWAT, the sniper, the FBI shield, tasers, cloakers, and of course the dreaded bulldozer. Now, all this information can be found on a Steam community guide created by Dr. Skeleato. It's a very thorough and impressively accurate guide. It talks you through headshot multipliers and overall health of each of the enemies. This sort of stuff can be seen with Hoxhood, but I did find this a little easier to reference and to utilize to work out how many shots it takes to kill. Do bear in mind though, there are 2 set perks in every perk tree that will assist in this. First of all, as I've already mentioned, we got Fast and Furious, which is going to give you an additional 5% flat damage. Then we also have helmet popping, of course. That's 25% additional headshot. That's been sort of factored in, which is why sometimes the number of headshots is not exactly accurate. It's more of a wide range of numbers. But first of all, let's go through the order I mentioned them. The heavy blue SWAT, probably the least threatening enemy we have on the list. It's going to be a 2-shot headshot basically all the time and a 4-shot body shot. So I've averaged that out at about a 3-shot kill. So you're going to tear through these guys on overkill difficulty. Then we have the FBI SWAT, which very much so the same. 2-shot headshot, but with a 5-shot body shot, so you want to be hitting those helmets a little more frequently. And I'd say again it averages about 3 shots for this enemy. Moving on to the FBI Heavy SWAT, which is a slightly different ball game. It's a 3 to 4 shot kill on the head, but you're not going to want to body shot this guy. They have heavier armor around there, and only with decent amounts of armor penetration are you going to do any real damage. So I've said that this averages about 6 shots to kill the FBI Heavy SWATs. Then the snipers. If there's one thing that I know about the Thompson, it is an absolute monster for dealing with snipers. It really does have strong accuracy over range, and you're looking at a 1-shot headshot or a 2-shot body shot. So it's going to be no more than 2 shots to kill a sniper, assuming you are accurate. Now then, the FBI shields, the sort of information on the FBI shields is slightly dodgy because you're more likely, of course, to have your bullets caught by these shields. But if you are aiming for the head, it's going to be a 2-shot kill, but it's going to be 5 if you don't make use of that high multiplier. So I averaged it out at about a 4-shot kill. Now we have some of the scarier specials. The TASER. With the TASER, you're looking at a 6 to 7 shot headshot kill due to one of the lower headshot multipliers in the game, and a 12-shot body shot. So it's starting to take a lot longer to take these enemies out. I would say roughly 9 shots to kill. Again, assuming you are accurate. Moving on to the CLOAKER, which of course has a big headshot multiplier. That's a 4 to 5 shot kill, assuming you're accurate. Definitely worth trying to hip fire them on the run. But if you're not getting those headshots, which, as I've said, you probably will, with the right amount of stability, it's going to be a 20-shot kill. I average this out at about a 10-shot kill overall. Now we have the Bulldozer, who is, as ever, very scary on any difficulty. The Overkill Bulldozer is going to be a 7 to 9 shot headshot kill. Again, it's not really worth mentioning the body shot, but that completely discounts the fact that you have to break through the helmet to get to the head. Don't forget the Bulldozer's headshot multiplier is all the way up at 22.92, so the second you get that open, the Thompson will tear through. But I found that this weapon wasn't particularly good at breaking through helmets. You really want to stick to explosives. You've got your grenade launcher, your GL40 you could use alongside it, or even some sort of frag round shotgun, and that's going to be the best way to take it out. So I actually estimated at about a 50 shot kill to take out the overkill bulldozer. Difficulty on Death Wish is a totally different ball game. Not only do enemies have greater health, they also have lower headshot multipliers on the whole. This has been one of my biggest problems with Death Wish. I feel like Death Wish should more reward accuracy, like headshots, and just increase health by that little bit more. Therefore, the headshot machine, which is the Thompson, will suffer slightly on the Death Wish difficulty, and I think that's one of the main problems with Death Wish overall. There is only a select number of weapons that are really suited for the difficulty. Playing Death Wish is like playing a different game. I don't like how you have to make Death Wish builds. Death Wish should be something that's applicable to any build you create, as long as it's at least vaguely sensible. And in the future, I'd love to see some tweaks with the difficulty of Death Wish being more about you being accurate and consistent with your shooting, as opposed to just having to put more and more bullets into the enemy's core. Anyway, moving on to the enemies we are scared of. We again have the FBI SWAT, the FBI Heavy SWAT, the GENSEC Elite this time we are worried about, snipers, the FBI Shields, Tasers, Cloakers, and the one, the only, the SKULLDOZER, and of course the Death Wish Bulldozers, which don't necessarily have that particularly hard armor faceplating. So, first of all, again looking at the FBI SWAT, the only one that stays almost exactly the same. You're looking at a 2-shot headshot and a 5-shot body shot. So again, an average of about 3 shots to kill. Then we have the FBI Heavy SWAT, which is a huge jump up in health, and unfortunately the headshot multiplier is not as high as I feel it should be. So you're looking at a 7 to 8 shot kill, and don't forget these guys are heavily armored around their core, so you can only really aim for the head. Therefore, I reckon it averages about 13 shots to take these guys out. Now then, the GENSEC Elite is a different enemy type exclusive to Death Wish difficulty, but they're not going to be too hard. They are very similar to the FBI SWATs on the whole. You're looking though at a couple more headshots required. You're looking at roughly 5, it's thereabouts, or 8 body shots. I've averaged at about 7 shots overall. Don't forget your weapon will kick, so if you start towards the core or the chest, you will likely bring up to the head toward the end of the kill, which is why I've averaged the shots at a slightly lower rate than you might expect, and I'm also being very favourable of your aim. Next up we have the sniper, which gets a huge health boon, all the way up to 68 from 40, but it doesn't make a huge difference to its difficulty. It's just going to be a 3-shot body shot and a 2-shot headshot now, so no more than 3 shots to take these guys out. FBI Shields, on the other hand, you're looking again at a huge jump up in the headshots required. It goes from 2 to 4 or 5 depending on whether you have helmet popping, and then we have 6 body shots. So with this, you may as well just shoot for the body at this point to take out the FBI Shields on Death Wish difficulty. I averaged it out at about 5 or 6 shots to kill them. Now this is where there's a huge leap. Cloakers and Tasers are the bane of Death Wish, even more so really than the Bulldozer, because you're just more likely to run into them. You've got weapons like the GL40 that just can't deal with the huge raw health these two classes have. Taser nearly doubles its overall health, same with the Cloaker and same with the Bulldozer. So the Taser is 13 to 16 headshots. This is where you're not going to be able to use the Thompson anymore. That is too many. You are going to be shot down before you've taken out the Taser. It's going to be 21 body shots. So again, you're not really benefiting from hitting the head with the relatively low 1.35 multiplier. So I averaged it about a 16-shot kill. That might be a little bit generous. Cloakers though, that's a 9 to 11 shot kill. Again, Cloakers do have a slightly higher headshot multiplier. It's lower than they had, of course, on Overkill though, but it's 34 shots if you're not hitting the head. Don't worry about that too much with this SMG. The spread is just enough to where you will likely clip the head a few times, even from range, but I averaged this out at about a 17-shot kill. Finally, the SKULLDOZER. Once you can get through that metal, no problem at all. You're looking at about a 15 to 19 shot kill. 2-3 seconds it's going to take of confirmed fire into their face. You can't really mess around with the SKULLDOZER's body, but I reckon it's going to take roughly 70 to 80 shots on average to take out SKULLDOZERs with the Thompson on its own, so it's certainly not made for that task. Overall, as you can see, the Thompson really does excel for overkill difficulty. It's so versatile. I feel like it's stable and accurate at the same time. I really don't struggle, and something about the weapon and my familiarity with it has led to me burst firing a lot with it, which is hugely helpful for keeping a steady beat and making sure you land those long distance headshots. And on the whole, overkill headshots really do count. Moving on up to Deathwish, headshots mean a little bit less. Therefore, where SMGs really excel, that fast-paced 30 damage to the head consistently, really making good use of that multiplier, it just doesn't come in the same on Deathwish. You're going to have a really tough time taking out TASERs, CLOAKERs and SKULLDOZERs, and there are much better options in your arsenal. The Locomotive using overkill, the Judge with the same skill usage, or even potentially using some of the pistols and some of the new fugitive pistol skills might be more powerful than the Thompson. That is not to discourage you from using it. I do think you're going to be very reliant on your primary though, and only going to be able to use it really towards the start of the mission before things hot up. Overall, I give the Thompson a 7.5 out of 10. It really is exactly what I wanted it to be on overkill, but the nature of Deathwish just means that SMGs can't keep up, unfortunately. Do let me know what you think. Are you able to use the Thompson on Deathwish difficulty? Would you like to see a small buff? Maybe some more modifications in the future? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks a lot for watching. See you all in the next one.